everyone, I'm Cadet Villarwal Warren and I'm going to discuss the history of Exxon Valdez oil spill. The Exxon Valdez oil spill was a man-made disaster that occurred when Exxon Valdez, an oil tanker owned by the Exxon Shipping Company, it spilled 11 million gallons of crude oil into Alaska's Prince William Sound on March 24, 1989. It was the worst oil spill in U.S. history until the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010. Exxon Valdez oil slick covered 1,300 miles of coastline and killed hundreds of thousands of seabirds, otters, seals, and whales. Nearly 30 years later, pockets of crude oil remain in some locations. After the spill, Exxon Valdez returned to service under a different name, operating for more than 2 decades as an oil tanker and oil carrier. On the evening of March 23, 1989, Exxon Valdez left the port of Valdez, Alaska, bound for Long Beach, California, with 53 million gallons of Prudhoe Bay crude oil on board. At 4 minutes after midnight on March 24, the ship struck Big Reef, a well-known navigation hazard in Alaska's Prince William Sound. The impact of the collision tore open the ship's hull, causing some 11 million gallons of crude oil to spill into the water. At the time, it was the largest single oil spill in U.S. waters. Initial attempts to contain the oil failed, and in the months that followed, the oil slick spread, eventually covering about 1,300 miles of coastlines. Investigators later learned that Joseph Hazelwood, the captain of Exxon Valdez, had been drinking at the time and had allowed an unlicensed third mate to steer the massive ship. The oil spill cleanup of Exxon Valdez. In the months after the Exxon Valdez oil spill, Exxon employees, federal responders, and more than 11,000 Alaska residents worked to clean up the oil spill. The Exxon Shipping Company paid about $2 billion in cleanup costs and $1.8 billion of habitat restoration and personal damages related to the oil spill. Cleanup workers skim oil from the water surface, sprayed oil dispersant chemicals in the water and onshore, washed oil beaches with hot water, and rescued and cleaned animals trapped in oil. Environmental officials purposefully left some areas of shoreline untreated so they could study the effect of cleanup measures, some of which were unproven at the time. They later found that aggressive washing with high-pressure hot water hoses was effective in removing oil, but did even more ecological damage by killing the remaining plants and animals in the process. One of those areas that was oiled but never cleaned is a large shoreline boulder called Mearns Rock. Scientists have returned to Mearns Rock every summer since the spill to photograph the plants and the small critters growing on it. They found that many of the mussels, barnacles, and various seaweeds growing on the rock before the spill returned to the normal levels about 3 to 4 years after the spill. Prince William Sound had been a pristine wilderness before the spill. The Exxon Valdez disaster dramatically changed all of that, taking a major toll on wildlife. It killed an estimated 250,000 seabirds, 3,000 otters, 300 seals, 200 bald eagles, and 22 killer whales. The oil spill also may have played a role in the collapse of salmon and herring fisheries in Prince William Sound in the early 1990s. Fishermen went bankrupt, and the economies of small shoreline towns, including Valdez and Cordova, suffered in the following years. The Oil Pollution Act of 1990 of the Exxon Valdez oil spill. In the wake of the Exxon Valdez oil spill, the U.S. Congress passed the Oil Pollution Act of 1990, which was the President George Bush signed into law that year. The Oil Pollution Act of 1990 increased penalties for some companies responsible for oil spill and required that oil tankers in United States waters have a double hull. That's it, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you and have a nice day.